Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by Civic Center IAS, where we shall discuss the top 10 important topics for the UPSC CSE Prelims for the day from the Hindu, the Indian Express, and the PIB for the day 21st March 2025. So, the first article here is in the context of the International Day of Forests of 2025, which is celebrated every year on 21st March. To celebrate all types of forests, recognize the importance of trees in forests, and also take action to protect them. See, the theme for 2025 is Forests and Food, which is declared by United Nations since 2012. So the objective of it is to raise awareness about the role of forests in ensuring food security and nutrition. Now, there are various government schemes with respect to forests. Firstly, we have the National Agroforestry Policy, where the ICAR's Central Agroforestry Research Institute is the nodal agency for it. So it aims to integrate the trees with farming to improve the soil health, productivity and income, and climate resilient farming and ecosystem sustainability. Now, what are the different implementation features with respect to it? Firstly, quality planting material via nurseries and tissue culture units. Secondly, collaborating with various institutions. Thirdly, buyback arrangements and price support for agroforestry products. And lastly, synergy with millet cultivation with nutrition sensitive farming. Now, we have the Green India Mission, where it is part of the National Action Plan for Climate Change, and it was launched in the financial year 2015 and 16. So the goals are to increase the forest or tree cover by 5 million hectares, improve the quality of forests on another 5 million hectares, and enhance the ecosystem services and biodiversity. And lastly, it is also about improving the forest-based livelihoods for 3 million households. And there are different submissions also under it. You don't have to go deeper. Now, next we have the Forest Fire Prevention and Management Scheme, where the objective is mainly to firstly prevent, detect and manage forest fires using modern tools. Secondly, to engage local communities in forest fire control. And lastly, to improve the forest productivity post-fire incidents. So, various features of it are a satellite-based forest fire monitoring system by FSI Dehradun, real-time alerts via SMS or email, crisis management group under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change Secretary, and lastly, use of remote sensing GPS and GIS. So it is based on National Action Plan on Forest Fire, recommendations from the Parliament and NGT, and World Bank consultation based study. And lastly, we have the Pradhan Mantri Van Dhan Yojana, which was launched by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs and TriFed in the year 2018. The objective of it is value addition and market linkages for minor products forest produce. So, with respect to the implementation, we have a formation of Vandhan Kendras, where each Kendra has 300 tribal members and 15 SHGs, and the funding with respect to central funding 15 lakh per Kendra and 1000 per member contribution. So the second article talks about the Prashad Scheme, which stands for Pilgrimage Regeneration and Spiritual Heritage Augmentation Drive. See, it was launched by the Ministry of Tourism of the Government of India, where the objectives of it are firstly, to develop infrastructure at identified pilgrimage sites in an inclusive, integrated and sustainable manner. Secondly, to focus on livelihood creation, skill development, cleanliness, security, accessibility and service delivery. Now, there are various key interventions with respect to it. So these are the various key interventions. In this you can see financial assistance, tourist facilitation centers and also development of guards, solid waste management systems, etc. So as of 2025, 48 projects have been sanctioned covering 27 states and union territories. Now the third article here talks about AFSPA. See, what does AFSPA stand for? It stands for Armed Forces Special Powers Act. So it extends to the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland and Tripura. So the governor, administrator of the central government may declare a state or part of it as a disturbed area by notification if the region is in a disturbed or dangerous condition requiring the use of armed forces to assess the civil powers. So, with respect to other special powers under the armed forces, so in a disturbed area, any commissioned officer, warrant officer, non-commissioned officer or equivalent can First, use force where the fire upon or use force against anyone acting in contravention of the law after due warning to maintain public order. Secondly, destroy armed positions, training camps, or shelters used by the gangs or absconders. Then, thirdly, they can arrest individuals suspected of committing or planning to commit cognizable offences and use necessary force to do so. Then, enter premises to arrest persons or seize arms, ammunition, or stolen property with necessary force. Now, moving on to the next article, it says that the Indian government confirms 465 GPS interference incidents near Amritsar and Jammu between November 2023 and February 2025. Furthermore, several airlines reported GPS or GNSS, which stands for Global Navigation Satellite System disruption, impacting aircraft operations. In this context, we'll talk about the GPS spoofing. So, the GPS spoofing is a cyber attack that sends false GPS signals to mislead a GPS receiver about its true location. So, also known as the GPS simulation, it undermines the location-based services by tricking the receiver into computing incorrect coordinates. How does this work? See, firstly, the GPS system functioning, where the GPS satellites send weak signals to receivers, which calculate time delay to determine the location. Then the attackers transmit stronger fake GPS signals that overwhelm the real satellite signals. So ultimately, the receiver locks onto the spoof signals, displaying an incorrect location. Now, what are the implications with respect to it? Firstly, the aircrafts, ships, and the vehicles may be misguided or risking their accidents. Secondly, ride sharing, delivery, or map apps may be manipulated, affecting the billing and service. Then disruption in telecom, logistics, power grids, and defense, and potential for data theft, identity fraud, and surveillance. Now, why is it a cyber security concern? See, firstly, this location based data is used to secure access, geofencing, and identity verification. So, the GPS spoofing can bypass the location restrictions, be used to impersonate individuals or assets, and lastly, disrupt the emergency or defense operations. So, the next article says that the Supreme Court Collegium on Thursday recommended the transfer of acting Chief Justice of the Orissa High Court, Justice Arindam Sinha, to the Allahabad High Court. In this context, we'll talk about the Supreme Court Collegium system and then the composition of the SC Collegium. See, it is a mechanism for the appointment and transfer of the judges in the Supreme Court and High Courts. Though explicitly not mentioned in the Constitution, but it evolved through judicial interpretations. So, how did it evolve? See, in the first judge's case of 1981, the President was not bound to consult the Chief Justice of India for such appointments. Then, through the second judge's case, the collegiate system was established with CJA and a group of senior judges having primacy in the appointments. Lastly, in the third judge's case of 1998, the CJA expanded the collegiate system was expanded, consisting of the CJI and 4 of his senior most judges. Now, the Supreme Court Collegium is headed by the Chief Justice of India, and 4 of his senior most judges of the Supreme Court are the members. Furthermore, the Collegium system recommends the names for the appointment and transfer of judges to the President of India. The next article says that the Nitish Kumar government in Bihar on Thursday made a fresh demand for special category status before the 16th Finance Commission, members of which are currently on a tour of the state. In this context, we'll talk about the special category status in India. See, this status was introduced in 1969 to assess the states facing unique geographical and socio-economic challenges. This design aimed to provide these states with additional finance assistance and benefits to support their development. Now, what is the different criteria for granting the special category status? See, the National Development Council outlined specific criteria for a state to qualify for the special category status. Firstly, hilly and difficult terrain with challenges in the infrastructure development due to rugged landscapes. Then, areas with sparse population or substantial tribal communities. And then the strategic locations, like the states sharing international borders, Then limited industrialization and underdeveloped infrastructure leading to economic and infrastructure backwardness. And lastly, dependence on central assistance for fiscal stability, which is non-viable with respect to state finances. Now, there are various benefits associated with it. Firstly, the states get a higher share of central funds, with central assistance structured as 90% grants and 10% loans, reducing the financial burden on these states. Furthermore, tax benefits are given where incentives are provided to attract investments and to promote economic development. Now, moving on to the next article, it talks about the Aurangzeb tomb. So, 3 days after the Nagpur saw violent clashes, curfew was relaxed in areas of the city on Thursday. At the heart of the violence is the tomb of the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, which the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and other Hindutva bodies want removed. See, Aurangzeb was deceased on 28th February of 1707, and the burial place was Kuldabad, formerly known as Rauza of Maharashtra. So, the tomb is of open air, austere grave inside the Dargah of Sufi Saint Sheikh Zainuddin. Furthermore, the marble screen was added by the British Viceroy Lord Curzon in 20th century, and this was his title post-death. Now, talking about Aurangzeb's rule, see, he ruled for almost 50 years, which is the longest among the Mughal emperors. Furthermore, he faced several challenges in the end, like the Maratha resurgence, agrarian crisis, and declining nobility loyalty, and he died on the Deccan campaign. So, if we have to talk about the historic significance, see, his austere burial reflected personal Islamic piety and contrasts with the grand tombs of the other Mughals. Furthermore, it reflects a decline of the imperial grandeur post-Aurangzeb. Historians argue that the Mughal tombs were often monuments by successors to assert victory in the succession wars. So the last article here talks about the PM Swanidhi scheme. So what is this scheme all about? See, it was launched by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs with an objective to empower the street vendors by providing collateral-free working capital loans, promoting their economic upliftment and digital inclusion. So if you have to look at the key features of it, firstly, the collateral-free loans up to 10,000 are provided with a loan tenure of 1 year, where the target beneficiaries are approximately 50 lakh urban or peri-urban or rural street vendors. Know that the interest subsidy is 7% per annum for regular repayment. Furthermore, a digital cashback of 1200 per annum for prescribed digital transactions is given, and the loan upgrade is provided for like the eligible ones for the next enhanced tranche of loan upon timely repayment. Now, what are the criteria with respect to it? Firstly, street vendors with certificate of vending or ID card issued by the urban local bodies. Secondly, the vendors identified in the urban local bodies survey but not yet issued certificate can get a provisional certificate via IT platform. Then, the left out vendors or the post survey vendors are eligible with letter of recommendation from the urban local bodies or the town vending committee. Lastly, the vendors from the peri-urban or the rural areas vending within the urban limits are eligible with LOR from the ULB or the TVC as mentioned above. So in this video we have discussed 8 articles in total for today from the Hindu, the Indian Express and the PIB. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.